What's up, everyone? Welcome to a rap show without a name. That's not actually the name of it. That's not like an ironic or like meta title. We literally just don't have a name right now. What I can tell you about this show is that we're going to be going over my favorite rap projects every single month. A little late this month. We're diving into January's a little late. But before I get into all the music, I want to just take a second to happily introduce my good friend Robbie here. This is someone I've grown up with my whole life, like a brother to me. And I think two things that have always been part of our friendship has been conversations, debates, and well, three things. So conversations, debates, and hip hop music has always been part of our friendship, part of our life. So we're really happy to take something that's a true part of us and just bring it to you guys in this show.
I completely agree, man. I'm really excited to get into this, to talk about all this new music that comes out, give our opinions and thoughts on it. And yeah, I'm sure we definitely will have some debates here and there and some clashing opinions. But like you said, that's nothing new to us.
Nothing new. It's nothing new. And we're still here, still friends, a million debates later. So we're doing all right.
Yeah.
I couldn't. All right. Yeah, man, before we get into it, I just want to say for 1 second, before I really get into the albums of this month, I just want to mention two things really quickly. One, this is something I've been doing for some time now. For about the last year, I've been covering albums that came out every month. And how it works is I'm not really going to be talking about any albums that I didn't like. I'd rather spend the time I have being positive about what I did like than spend 5 minutes telling you why the album you like the most sucked. And that leads me to my second thing, which is that all my opinions on the show are all just my opinions. And I'm going to talk about music I like. And if it's an artist you haven't heard, I hope that maybe you can find some interest in that artist. And if it's an artist you have heard, I hope you enjoy the conversation. But I just don't want anyone to think that my rankings or what I feel about these musicians is, I just don't want anyone to think that I feel like that's like it's just my opinion. That's really all it is. I'm not here to tell you who's better than who, like on an official level. I don't think these are objective opinions. So I just want to get that out of the way before we really get into it.
And without any further ado, you want to jump right into the top 5 albums of January?
I want to do some honorable mentions really quick before we hop into that. Just really quickly, a couple albums that I did like but didn't quite make the top 5. We have Legend of Shaolin, which is by Second Generation Wu. If you haven't heard of Second Generation, Wu is the actual kids of the original members of Wu-Tang Clan. Not surprisingly, this definitely has its ties to 90s hip hop, definitely a little boom bap mixed in there. Reason it didn't make my list is that I think while they're all good rappers, they don't have like the standout personas and characters that the original members of the Wu had. So going forward, I think it'd be nice if they could have sort of more identifiable traits, things that made them more unique, stuff that led to the magic of the original Wu. But yeah, moving on from them, that's a dope project. I recommend checking that out. Skullface Bonehead is a weird one. That's by Knockel Smith, who's a close friend of Earl Sweatshirt. I wouldn't describe the music that I've heard from him as straight up rap music. There's definitely like some punk, some ambient influences there. The production and vocals on this project are really distorted. But it's an interesting short listen. So if you like outside the box hip hop, if you like kind of distorted vocals, give that one a shot. Two projects really quickly that I'll just mention. NLE Choppa's Me Versus Me. That's not entirely my guy, but I think that if you're someone who likes trap music and this was a slow month for you, I think there's still some fun music on that. Same sentiment with Oh Really by Doughboy. Not the greatest rapper by any means. This is a guy under Future, but you got a lot of good producers on this project, and there's like consistently some hard shit, good features on his project. So NLE Choppa and Doughboy's new project, for anyone who likes trap music, that's what I'd recommend. Three more before we get into the top 5. We have a Ninth Wonder and Mussolini project. I don't actually know enough about Mussolini, but if you're a Ninth Wonder fan, check that out. That's super dope. Some good chill hip hop. Shay Noir, who's one of my favorite female MCs, just dropped her project Food for Thought. She's like a really bar crazy, lyrically driven, just female, like true MC. I would say if you're checking her out, I would maybe not go to this project first. Didn't make my top 5 because I thought it wasn't the strongest I'd ever heard from her. And yeah, man, she's super dope. But maybe if you haven't heard of Shay Noir, I'd start somewhere else. Final honorable mention: Wolf on Wall Street 2, the second project in 1 year. Well, this is a sequel to the original Wolf on Wall Street by Your Old Droog and the God Fahim. This is a short, chill project. The production is leans more on kind of like classical and old school music than it does actual hip hop. It's really chill and enjoyable, but I think the rapping on it is a little underwhelming, especially for someone like as crazy talented as Your Old Droog. So I definitely recommend that one, but those are the projects that didn't quite make the list.
But they're worth a listen.
They're worth the listen. Those are worth the listen. I wouldn't bring it up if I didn't think they're worth. If any of those aren't worth a listen, it's probably NLE Choppas. But I don't know. I still think it's kind of fun on some level.
But either way, if you guys don't think it's worth a listen, drop a comment, let us know.
Yeah. If you like or don't like any of those projects, please. This is all about conversation here.
And that being said, let's go right into number 5 for January. And that we're going to kick that off with From a Bird's Eye View from Cordae. This album comes in at 14 songs for a total of 41 minutes and has features from Lil Wayne, Eminem, Gunna, Freddie Gibbs, Lil Durk, and a few others. This is his second major release and his first under his own label, High Level. What do you think of this album?
I want to get into before, the honest truth is that I liked this album. I didn't love this album. And I think that in a stronger month, probably the number 4, 5, and 4 I have for this month wouldn't have made a top 5. Before I get into what I don't love about this album, I will say that I think Cordae is a super dope rapper. I think he's a really technically skilled MC. I think that he's able to offer positive messages and have a wholesome image without being too corny. And I think that's a really good thing for rap music. I think it's always good to have someone who's genuinely seems like a good person and can make that sort of music without it being like a kid's TV show,
Right, yeah.
My problem with this album is that I just didn't think it made enough changes sonically. I didn't think there was enough of a mix between sort of faster pace and slower pace, especially considering how good he is at fast pace. Like you take the song Super, for example, or Parables. If we're just looking at those tracks from a rapping perspective, I think those are 2 of his best moments on the album. And I think that if he were to add 1 or 2 more fast paced moments, maybe even with a feature, like someone who could really go toe to toe with him fast pace. It's just a lot of interesting ideas there, I think. Overall, I thought the first half of the album was a little bit weaker, and the second half tackled some of the same concepts and sounds that the first half did, just more effectively. So that all in all, you kind of get this project that's really has kind of like a warm, good vibe to it, but it carries on for so long that that warm, good vibe for me gets a little stale. And a lot of a song like Mama's Hood is just, I think, a worse version of something he did better at other points of the album. That's just me. I know that you're a fan of Cordae. Do you have anything you want to share on the project?
No, just to kind of echo what you were saying, I think he's a very talented rapper. I think he has a very bright future ahead of him. And if you look at some of his freestyles, he can prove that he can rap his ass off. So I think I don't know what he's trying to do with these albums, because he definitely has a bit of a commercial appeal on a few of the records on this album and on the past album. So I don't think he wants to be just a kind of in the shadows rapper. He wants to be that dude. So I don't know.
And
I mean,
you hear that on this album, like the confidence. And I think he
yeah.
has a line on this album where he's like, I'm gonna be around as long as I want. I think he says something like that.
Well, he says on one of the songs, like the song with Lil Wayne, he says like 20-year career minimum or something like that.
Yeah, like
Like,
he yeah, the confidence is there, the talent's there. I think that this is something you and I have talked about before with this project. I think that if he came up in the mixtape era where he had the freedom to drop like an EP or a mixtape where people could hear this guy without judging him on like a debut album level,
yeah,
I think that would have helped because
just like hear him over other people's beats and stuff, like just those Lil Wayne freestyles type of things back in the day.
Dude is young, so like to come out with like 2 major label releases at this point, like that's pressure at this point of his career.
Yeah, and
Like
this is
the album, don't love it. I like it, I don't love it, but I do love Corday, so I'm excited for his future.
Let's move on to number 4, and this one might get some controversial takes on it if the people are looking to fight back with us here.
I'm not expecting everyone to be in love with number 4 of the month here. I'm gonna be honest.
Number 4 is Pink is Better by Token. This album is 19 songs at 55 minutes, a bit of a long one, and it has features from Benny the Butcher, JID, Lil Skies, and a few others. This is the 3rd project, and again, same as Corday, this is the 1st project under his own label.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about Toke. Let's have the Token conversation. This is somebody who I have here and there because I am a fan of Token. He's like far from, he's not close to making any sort of top list in any category, but I'm a fan of Token. I like his music, and anytime I share his music, it's just been met with like DMs flooded with like, bruh, dude's corny, like really posting Token. And when you look back at who Token was when he first came into the game, doing very much of like a, double time, triple time, fast raps, very similar to Eminem at the time, kind of like this rap god style of rapping. I understand why some of the notions and some of the ideas about him started. I really think a lot of the criticism I hear on him is becoming more unfair and outdated as he puts out more music. I do think that if you look at his first songs to his first album to this album, there are improvements at every step. That said, I'm definitely still understanding of some of the criticisms. I think that he still is a much better rapper than he is a musician. I think stuff like putting a conceptual song together, doing a chorus, making music as opposed to just rapping, I think that's not his greatest skill. But he's, again, same with Corday. This is someone who's young and getting better. And I really think that if you don't like Token, I would check this project out with open ears, because I think there is improvement here. 1 or 2 more negatives. Robbie, what's the runtime of this one? Do you have that in front of you?
Comes in at 55 minutes.
It's 55 minutes, I think 19 songs long. So I've been pretty consistent when talking about music to talk about how hard it is to put together an hour and like 20 songs where, a listener can go through 20 songs and really keep their attention.
Yeah, it's a different time.
I think it was a little too long. I think that the songs he tried to make, I think that the concept songs here are the songs where he tried to like really, came in with a bigger idea. I think they fell flat a bit, but the rapping on it's awesome. Really solid feature from JID. That song's sick. The Benny the Butcher song, while I like both verses, I can't say that was just like an honest, logical fit. I think even Benny, I think, might have made a chuckled when he got that request.
Yeah, he just took the bag.
Yeah, man. Shout out Benny. But no. Again, same as this Corday album, might not have come in my top 5 in a stronger month. An album that I like, but I don't love, from an artist that I do really like and see a lot of potential in. If you don't like Token, if you heard this album, don't like it, I'm really curious of your opinion, because I think the hate is a little bit unfounded. I think it's like a little bit of a bandwagon. I think it's kind of like people hear Token's corny and they just hop all over that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like he's in a weird space, like a young Russ, where it was just cool to hate on him. And even if you don't know any of his music, any of his songs. It's just hate on the guy. So yeah,
Well,
maybe this album can start to change those opinions.
Russ did say he can make himself orgasm with his own thoughts. I mean, I mean that was Token never said that. I mean, but I agree. There does seem to be certain rappers where it becomes popular to dislike them. It happened with Chance with his latest album, and then people really love to get in on the fun and kind of group mentality of like, hey, let's all bash the shit out of this album or artist together.
To be fair to the people, that Chance album though,
it's not good. It's not good. All right, The Big Day is not good. I'm not
going to let's move on.
Chance for one bad album.
Let's not get into this whole Chance thing. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3, we got Gold by Riggs and DJ Muggs. This one here is a little bit more off the radar. Muggs is a legendary producer. He's been the producer for Cypress Hill dating back to the late 80s, early 90s. And this album here features 16 songs, 40 minutes long, and it has features from Rome Streets, who was just recently signed to Griselda, Mayhem Loren, and a number of other underground rappers. This is Riggs' 11th project. It's available on Spotify with a number of others available outside of that. This one is definitely some underground boom bap hip hop. Get into it, Harry.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like Robbie said, Muggs is someone who I think deserves a lot of respect and credit in hip hop history. I mean, not just was the producer of Cypress Hill. He made Jump Around by House of Pain, which is going to be playing in stadiums and at parties until the end of time. That's a
forever.
True classic track. This is definitely the sleeper pick of the month. One thing I love about Muggs is he's went from being this big name producer in the 80s and 90s to in the last couple of years was working with Conway before Griselda really blew up, working with another one of my guys, Crime Apple, who I think is super talented, like really finds dope underground MCs and kind of helps them with his platform because he's usually the bigger name than the people he's working with. So shout out Muggs, man. As far as this project Gold, I think that Riggs does a really solid job handling this whole album. I think that his best skill might also be his best weakness. So I can tell you what I like most and kind of had an issue with at the same time here, which is that solid MC, everything from his flow to lyricism, cadence, delivery, like solid rapper. I don't know if he has like something about him that makes him stand out. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I think that when we're in a movement like this, I call it the gangster rap renaissance with Griselda, Rock Marciano getting appreciated a little more than he was a few years ago. Guys like Nas or Method Man stepping a little back more into the scene because of this sound growing. So I think that if Riggs was to find the success of some of his peers that have done a little better, I would really look to finding something more unique or stand out about him as a rapper. But 16 solid tracks, no low points to this album. The Rome Street song is fucking fire. We're going to get to that in the singles later, so I'm not going to talk about that just yet. But shout out Muggs and shout out Riggs. Like I said, rapped his ass off during this project. If you like underground boom bap hip hop, if you're not with a lot of the trendy, flashy stuff, I think this is your project this month, man.
Gold. And then that's going to bring us into number 2, the number 2 album for January. And this is by far the biggest album of January. DS Forever, Gunna, Drip Season. This album, again, is the fourth one.
3 other Drip Seasons. This is the 4th.
And this one, again, comes in at 20 songs long, and it's just under an hour in length at 58 minutes. When it also comes with the deluxe release that came out, I think, a day later that only changes the album with a Drake feature.
Yeah, it was a deluxe.
Yeah, it's whatever. And this album, of course, has features from Young Thug, 21 Savage, Drake, as I just mentioned, Kodak Black, Lil Baby, Future, and many more. And it also has production from Metro Boomin, Mike Will Made It, and Weezy, to name a couple. This is the 4th and final installment of the Drip Season series. And like I said, this album was the biggest album of January. It outsold The Weeknd. So what are your thoughts on this album?
That's crazy. I don't think anyone would have predicted that Gunna was going to outsell The Weeknd, the guy who just rocked the Super Bowl. I think has bounced back and forth from being the #1 artist in the world over the last couple of years. So shout out Gunna for taking this ATL trap sound and outselling the fucking Weekend, man. That is crazy. That's got to be one of the craziest like hip hop sales, just
No, yeah.
craziest moments for hip hop sales over the last couple of years. And then another thing about Gunna is he's actually moving more units and doing better streams than the guy who signed him, Young Thug. So that is like, again, I just want to shout out Gunna for having really, like, between him and Lil Baby, they have established what is the it sound of hip hop right now. It might not be the newest, trendiest sound of hip hop, but the ball always moves from hot sound to hot sound, whether you go all the way back to Chicago drill, you go before that, you go to like Soulja Boy and the New Boys and like the swaggy tight pant movement. You move on forward to Pop Smoke, the drill movement. Like there's always like a hot scene, and Gunna and Lil Baby have really done a great job creating this sound. And shout out.
Well, not to step on your toes with that, with your point of the sound, but Atlanta's been dominating the sound for more than a couple of years now.
Absolutely,
Atlanta has been in charge.
Absolutely,
and shout out to them.
I was going to mention Migos in that sort of mix of people who have taken over the popular sound, because Migos definitely had like the it sound at one point, and Baby and Gunna aren't super similar to them, but there are some similarities.
I mean, even date it back to T.I. and Ludacris. Atlanta's been in charge for a long time.
I'm gonna run through some thoughts on the album. I don't think Gunna's music really lends itself to conversation too much. The actual lyrics, themes, concepts on the album are not that full-fleshed. Like they're mostly just, I think he comes into these projects trying to make something that sounds good, and it does. So he, effective in that. I did like how this project switched more from chill to hype. I think that he's really found his chill sound. He's got this like chill melodic trap sound where he flows over it nicely. But I appreciated how, like, on the 21 feature, on the Kodak feature, I don't remember the names off the top of my head, but on some of the songs here, there's definitely a little more energy, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about lyrics with Gunna, I mean, it's pretty much, like a what? There's nothing really to talk about. And I think that's an interesting conversation for hip hop. I remember Joe Budden once said about Uzi, he was like, I can't rate you on a certain level if you're not telling me anything. Like if you're not telling me anything about yourself, and if there's no substance in the writing of your music, then I can't view it on a certain level.
Yeah.
I don't know if I share that view as Budden. I don't like, that's not exactly what I want Gunna to be. He's someone who I more recently got into. So this is probably my favorite project from him. But I love what this sound is. It's not something that I think is amazing, but I understand why he's as big as he is, and I think it's a great sound he's discovered.
And this album, believe it or not, man, this put him along the upper echelon of superstars.
Absolutely, man. I mean, if you were to
doing those numbers,
yeah, man, if you were to do top 10 biggest rappers in the game right now, I mean, after you go through the obvious names from Drake, Kanye, respect to Eminem still. After those guys, Lil Baby and Gunna, they're in contest for like some of the biggest names out there right now.
Well, I think Lil Baby's, I think he's got the hands down in that conversation. But with this album, with these numbers that it sold, I think Gunna has entered the chat.
Yeah, Gunna has entered the chat.
Does that conclude everything we got to say about Drip Season Forever?
You know what? Last point, talking about how big of a name Gunna is right now, I think that really helped the fact that we got standout features from almost everyone involved, and the production was awesome too. So I think that everyone who came into this project with Gunna, from the features, the producers, like knew how big of a spot this was. And I think everyone did a great job on this. So this is, yeah, if you don't like Gunna, maybe this won't be the project that changes you, but really solid project in my opinion.
And then that's going to bring us to number one. And this one I know you must have been excited about once you saw the release date announced. This is your guy, Earl Sweatshirt, his fourth professional full-length album, Sick. This is a short 10 songs, 24 minutes long, 10 songs, and it's a lot of production done by him with help from Alchemist and Black Noise and a couple other ones. Just take it away, man. It's your guy.
Earl is my guy, man. I remember, like many people born before the year 2000, my first introduction to Odd Future in general was through the Yonkers video. And it was pretty quickly after I saw Earl's, I think it was just called Earl, his first track.
It was, yeah.
I was immediately drawn to his writing. And that's something that's continued into today, even as his style has changed. From being someone who is this kind of misfit, foul mouth, like really part of the Odd Future, like a really kind of like grimy lyricist, to someone who's followed into like more of his father's footsteps. A lot of people who know about Earl know his dad's an African poet. And over the years, we've really seen him take on a number of new sounds, going from someone who is rapping sort of under that Odd Future sound to someone who goes on to explore his own music. And from I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside to Soulless, which was a 10-minute track, really sort of paving the way for what SRS was, his dive into more ambient, lo-fi experimental music. It's just been awesome to see him along this journey. But what I will say is that as a rap fan, I understand a lot of people love some rap songs. To a lot of people and a lot of critical communities, not only is that his best album, but that's viewed as one of the greatest rap albums of all time by a certain community. I mean, you go down, you walk through Harlem or like LA, you're not going to get a lot of people praising some rap songs, but it's like there is a community that loves that album.
More power to them.
And I liked some rap songs, but I am happy to hear Earl get back to more of a clear style of rapping. I don't think this project had as grand of a concept as some rap songs. I really think this was just kind of like 10 Lucy's, so to say, songs he made throughout the course of the pandemic that relate to his life throughout it, and talk about a lot of the stuff that's going on, a lot of the themes and stuff that's going on in our life. At 10 songs long, I think there's a fun mix of sounds. I think that the writing is still great on this. Like I really do think this is one of the best writers in hip hop music. And I don't have any criticisms of the album, but what I will say is I think that Earl is somebody who is so unique that he is actually taken, like he is now 1 foot out of, like he has like 1 foot inside hip hop and 1 foot outside of it. So I think for a lot of hip hop fans who might be Drake fans, Travis Scott fans, Lil Baby fans, or even 90s fans, Tupac fans, Biggie fans, this might not be an accessible sound that he has these days. This might not be a sound that hip hop fans of many different corners can actually get into. But I think that people who are a fan of writing in general, I would be surprised if you don't appreciate the work of this guy, because the writing, as always on this album, is just awesome. To talk about it for a second, I think that a lot of what's going on in the pandemic has shaped this album, but I think the really cool thing about it is you're free to interpret a lot of what he says in your own way. He has a lot of stuff where he's talking about like, don't cross the picket line and get the virus. He has lines like they start hacking when they trying to shrink us. And then he has some more literal ones like fuck out my face with syringe. But throughout this whole project, I don't think that like there's this clear anti-vax message from Earl coming. I think it's more he is just making commentary and the state of the world, the state of how the government is handling the population. Like everything that's going on, he's offering us these little bits and little thoughts, and it's just great writing to listen to.
The only thing I would say about this album is, like, with me personally, when he came onto the scene, I wasn't a huge fan of Earl, or Odd Future for that matter. And then with his second album, Doris, I kind of started coming around a little bit, or I call it his second album because I still count his first album, self-titled album, Earl, as his first. And there's a couple songs on Doris that kind of got me to change my opinion on him a bit. And then I really changed my opinion with I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. And then he just disappeared for a long time without making any noise, no interviews, no freestyles, no songs, nothing. And then he pops back up with some rap songs, very alternative and experimental. And it seems like that style is still bleeding into this a bit, and that's him now. So that's fine. But for me personally, just didn't hit that hard. Wasn't for me.
Yeah, I think that does touch into like what I'm saying about how I think that if you have a certain sound of hip hop that you like, I don't think that you can really trace his music now back to other hip hop artists in history. Like, I don't think you can look at, you can look at Doom and be like, that's someone who clearly influences his wordplay, or how he writes. But I don't think there's any rapper you can ever go back to and find like the clear path of how Earl was inspired to make this new music through that. So I think that this
just started smoking a lot of weed again. He needs to go back to the island.
Yeah, you want him back in Samoa?
He'll come back rapping the way he used to. Then I'm cool with it.
Robbie doesn't actually want him back in Samoa. I think. Man, yeah, no, this is I think that's a fair point. I think that's a good way of putting it, how it bleeds into this, because it's not like it's the same as some rap songs, but you look at a song like God Speaks on this, definitely a lot of similarities to what was going on in SRS. I would love if this is his style from now on, where he mixes kind of some of those elements of SRS, the lo-fi and sort of abstract stuff with like, he's too talented of a rapper for his shit to always be as like murky and kind of hazy as it was on some rap songs. Like, he's too good of a writer for that to be the music he makes for the rest of his career. And that's pretty much it for the album. Fire and no. This is a perfect segue because we're going into singles. So I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to go song to song. You'll hear about the songs I liked and the singles of the month.
Okay. And so let's bring it right into number 10.
Yeah.
Singles of the month.
This is before Robbie really gets into it here, I want to let everyone know, if you follow my Instagram page, RapCentrist, every month I am going to be adding a Spotify playlist with the songs we talk about. We're only going to talk about 10 songs every month, but there are going to be 20 or 25 songs every month on the Spotify playlist. I urge you to check that out. Yeah, man, let's get into the music.
Yeah, so that link will be accessible through Instagram, or
yeah, that'll be on Instagram.
Okay.
If it's not clearly available to you on Instagram, just DM me.
All right. And that brings us off to number 10, and this is one you already kind of talked about a little bit, Heads on the Wall, DJ Muggs, Riggs, and Rome Streets.
Yeah, man, this was definitely my favorite cut off of this project. And I would say shout out both rappers. I think Rome Streets, and I hate doing Riggs like this, but Rome Streets had the best verse on your whole album. But shout out Riggs, because he doesn't get washed on the song. It's one of his best moments on the album too. And I respect the fact that he had, within this underground scene, There are levels to popularity, even in the underground. And Rome Streets is the bigger name than Riggs right now, having just been signed to Griselda, having just dropped some collab projects with Ransom and Ankle John last year, like just all over the place last year. He's got the bigger name at the moment. So shout out him for like just a scorching verse, and shout out Riggs for doing his thing as well on the track.
Number 9, Lil Wayne, Lil Romeo.
Yeah, man, this was if you saw Sorry for the Wait mixtape come on streaming services and kind of get confused, you weren't alone, because this was kind of a weird way of releasing a project. Wayne re-uploaded one of his old tapes. Well, not re-uploaded. He uploaded one of his old tapes to Spotify for the first time. There's 4 new songs and something like 16 old songs. But this track, Lil Romeo, is just like Wayne it's just Wayne going off.
Classic Wayne bars.
It's classic Wayne bars. No shortage of punchlines, a constant supply of punchlines. Lil Romeo's fire. Check that one out for sure.
All right, number 8, The Game, Kanye West, Easy. That little Pete Davidson diss.
Pete Davidson diss.
The world needed it.
I think some people liked this one more than I did. I definitely really liked this song. I like the production. I don't know if I love the production. I thought Game sounded really good over the production. I don't know if I'd say great, but Kanye, there's just too much entertainment within that verse to keep that off. It's just like an entertaining ass verse, and there's some clever moments, like the "This Ain't Your Mama's House," brother, get on your sister's shoulders, take that top ramen out. Like he's got some bars. There's some clever moments. Even if I think the Pete Davidson diss is like kind of whack, like Kanye, you don't have to prove that like you're cooler and better than Pete Davidson. Like we all know that. You don't have to hit us with that.
It's a lot. Like, it's a lot going on right now. It's a crazy world.
So I would say a really entertaining verse from Kanye, a solid verse from Game. I don't know if the vibes are really connected, but all in all, like a solid song that is definitely worth the average hip hop fan's listen.
And number 7, Titanic, Earl Sweatshirt.
Titanic. This was a single that dropped about a week before the album. And this is one of 2-3 moments where we kind of get this like abstract trap production. I would be uncomfortable calling it trap production because it's not. It's just at a much quicker pace and uses a lot of elements that Earl hasn't used in his production for a long time. I love this one. It's short. It's fun. Definitely one of my favorite moments on the album. And I always like to have changes of pace throughout an album. So for me personally, I love to get a mix of this with some other really cool, more chill shit on the project.
Number 6, the creator of Bape is putting together an album. Nigo, you got ASAP Rocky for this song. Aria.
This one's sick, man. We haven't heard a lot out of Rocky in the last couple of years, and one of my favorite aspects of Rocky, I would say, I don't know how you stand on this, I would say if you look at the last 10 years, I think he's got one of the best flows in rap.
Interesting opinion.
And
he's got a flow.
And I think that's definitely like the craziest part of this track is he's just like coming with different flows, mixing them in and there. The beat is cool. It's kind of like not totally the traditional type of beat you would hear him rap over. It makes me really curious for what type of production we're going to hear on this Nigo album. But Aria's as dope, man. Shout out Rocky.
And that brings us number 5, a guy that we're both pretty high on, Denzel Curry, Walkin'.
Yeah, this is another, again, maybe not as long of a break as ASAP Rocky, but Denzel's someone who we haven't heard too much from over the last couple of years. I know we got his 7-track collab with Kenny Beats last year, but I think that only runs about 20 minutes long.
Taboo dropped not too long ago.
It did, man. I mean, I know that we've been locked inside of our apartments for so long, and it feels like not that much time has passed. But I mean, you could fact check that one for me. I think that's 2018. Um, anyway,
It
whether or not,
is. It is 2018. Yeah.
uh,
But Zoo came out 2019. But yeah, it's still a
okay,
while. It's
all
still a
right.
while.
Curry's been a little more active than I remember, but I love the production on this. It's like a really cool sample going on in this one. The beat changes about 2/3 of the way in, and that really elevates the song for me because the flow he takes when the beat changes up is just sick.
I'm a sucker for a good beat change, man.
Yeah, how can you not like it? It's not even totally a beat change. It takes the the base of the start and then just kind of speeds it up and adds some elements. I know for a fact from a lot of the people I've talked to, this is one of the best songs that have come out this year for a lot of people's opinion. I'm not mad at that opinion. It wasn't my exact favorite song of the month, but I think it's great. I think Denzel's, he's a great rapper, man, over a great instrumental. Do I have to say more?
And then I'm gonna say the fourth track of January, and then I'm gonna kick off the last three to you. And this one comes from the album we said was the best-selling album of January, Pushin' P, featuring Young Thug by Gunna and Future.
Yeah, this is definitely the most viral moment of the month. There's I don't know how Alex the Pilot is doing right now after Pushin' P blew up after that. Yeah, man, this song, like, again, when we were talking about Gunna's album, like, I don't think his music really lends itself to conversation that much. If you
Just a good track.
It's a good track. If you listen to this song, you know that it's kind of like the way Gunna, Future, and Thug hop in and out of this one is really well done. The beat's kind of going all over the place. And yeah, just a good vibe, man. Just good energy.
I like it.
So yeah, I'll take you into my top 3 tracks of the month now. These are songs where it's just on for the most part, it's just a gut feeling of what I like the most. Coming in at number 3, I have Surround Sound, JID, 21 Savage, and Baby Tate. It's pretty much just JID and 21 Savage. Baby Tate's hard to hear on this one. This is a classic hip hop instrumental sampled here, Miss Fat Booty by Mos Def. JID is just like, he was the one I expected to go off on this. The beat is just perfect for the type of bouncy flows he has.
Yeah.
But man, 21, I don't know if I would say 21 is better than JID in this song, but just like, you expect JID to get busy on a beat like this. And I was really impressed by how 21 came on this one. He also dropped some dope singles earlier in the month. I thought he had one of the best features on Gunna's tape. Shout out how much better 21 has gotten since his early days, where you had this kind of like slow trap pace where it was kind of like, he's just like, he can actually rap now, and he couldn't when he first came up. So shout out 21. This song is sick. I don't know if it needed the last little beat change, the last 30 seconds where JID does kind of like half of a new verse. Like, it was dope, but I just don't even know if you needed it after the 21 verse.
Right.
Number 2 of the month is another collab. This one was pretty unexpected. I don't think there was any talk or reports of this one coming out.
I think like a day before, like there was a tweet saying didn't say the feature though. It just said Benny and Alchemist.
Number 2 of the month, Johnny P's Caddy, J. Cole, Benny the Butcher. This is Benny the Butcher's first single off his upcoming Tana Talk 4 project. Like Robbie said, this one probably we only heard about maybe a day before it happened. I think Cole came into this one with a plan in mind. I think he came into the booth with a mission. We may be seeing the second legendary J. Cole feature run taking place right now.
It looks like he's kind of gearing up for it.
This is a great way of kicking off. And then I don't know if you felt this way. One thing that's like kind of cool about this one for me is Benny the Butcher is the one who kind of comes through with the more like somber, reflective verse, and then Cole's the one who kind of comes with more energy and aggression, probably going to hell if Jesus asked for a feature. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Like, I wouldn't say that they took each other's styles, but the one who I was expecting to be a little more aggressive was a little more subdued. And Cole just got fucking busy, man. Like, man,
Yeah.
if you don't like J. Cole, there are some reasons as to why you can't like him. If you didn't like this song, you're just fucking hating, man. Like, it was a fire verse. It was a fire verse.
Yeah, he's nice, man.
I don't
Always
know
been one of my favorites.
in it. Benny, I liked what he brought to the table. I think that he's capable of just a lot of a higher level of rapping, but I do kind of like this shift into kind of like, he's shifting into an OG nicely, where it's kind of like the way he'll talk on his past, or kind of like Kick Game talk about how he made it, or some of like what he thinks are the codes of success. I like how Benny's been transitioning into this sort of like OG version of himself more over the last year or two, rather than just straight up bars all the time. So yeah, love Johnny P's Caddy. That's my number 2 of the month. Number 1 of the month, I have Fire in the Hole by Earl Sweatshirt. Just my favorite moment on an album I really liked. The instrumental for this one is almost like Spanish jazz. It's like this really, really cool, like not in any way hip hop type production. And it's got my favorite writing from Earl on it. Just go listen to the song if you haven't, man. It's good music.
2 songs by Earl in the top 10 of January. That's the number 1 album of the month.
That's my rule. So for my top 10 songs, just so I'm not talking about the same artist all over and over again, I never choose more than 2 songs from one album. So I'll cap it at 2. So I'll never have like, if fucking Kanye drops an album and it's amazing, I'm not going to have 8 out of the top 10 songs be Kanye songs. I'd rather shed some light elsewhere.
True. Got it.
Anyway, man, that's the music of the month.
Yeah, that wraps up the singles and the albums, and hopefully February is going to keep us eating with some good music, man.
Yeah, man, we've already definitely got some stuff on our radar that we're going to be talking about. Hopefully the episode for February's music is dropping no delays right at the start of March. Excited about that. We're excited to maybe bring you even some other content depending on the early success of this one. And hey, man, I'm going to go get myself a Shamrock Shake now.
All right, brother.
It's no one, I don't think, I'm kind of on an island. I don't think anyone likes the Shamrock Shake.
You're the only person I've ever heard talk about it.
I seem to be the only person who gets excited when this comes around yearly. So thank you, McDonald's, for keeping it in rotation. Thank you to all the listeners. And guys, I mean, this is a conversation between myself, Robbie, but you guys are part of the conversation too. Whether we have guests on this show or whether you guys are just frequent commentators, we're definitely going to have some moments where we take requests for things to talk about. So I would really love people to feel like nothing they have to say is stupid. I want everyone and anyone's opinions on everything in this episode. Even if you think we're wrong, if you think I'm an idiot, tell me.
Let's have the conversation.
He's been telling me I think I'm an idiot. He's been telling me I'm an idiot for 27 years, and we're still rocking.
Yeah, just drop comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if we're wrong, if we're right. All that good stuff. And I have a feeling that this year is going to be a great year for music, because obviously everyone's been trapped inside for the last 2 years. So it seemed like some of the biggest artists, they kind of took their feet off the gas and took some time off. But it seems like even though the world's still kind of messed up and everyone's still kind of inside for the most part, it seems like that's not stopping these artists. Because as of right now, as of we're recording this, man, we got this Pusha T track just yesterday, Diet Coke.
I'm hearing about a Kendrick single.
That's what they're saying tonight. There might be a Kendrick track tonight. I don't know, man. It might be a big year. There's already talk of the Donda 2 and Drake back in the lab on Take Care 2. And I don't know, man. It could be a big year. So that means lock in.
Lock in. Show some love, drop a like, drop a comment, say fuck these guys, exit the video, whatever you choose to do. Peace and love to all.
Peace.